I see everyone's got a waster or a simulator of some sort in hand. That's good. When we open Schola classes, typically we open with just a little salute. The salute is very individual. It's whatever you want to make it. So we just offer a little one. We'll go into a little bit later what the salute is all about. But I'll start off with it. Go ahead and have a seat because we're going to talk a little bit. As we only have 6 hours, I'm going to go pretty fast because I want to get you through the basic core defenses that we find in Fiore's material, and that's the end point for today. We're going to start off, as most people do, on the stance and footwork, most important stuff. All the things we're doing today are really core and really important, more important than all the cross sword section stuff that comes later. If you get this core stuff and you really get it down, then later you internalize the principles that are found in the cross sword plays and such, then you'll, I think, come close to find anything in Fiore's style. We're going to start off, as I said, with the footwork, stance, and then footwork, and the footwork is pretty simple. Those of you that have been to a Bob Sharon seminar have seen most of it. It's basically walking. It's not difficult. But there are a few things about it that are important to practice and train. Then we're going to work on the posta. We do use all 12 in the posta. You may have a copy of Swordsman's Companion, the School of European Swordsmanship in Helsinki. They use 7 of the posta. We use them all, although there are a few of them that kind of duplicate, so they do the same job, and you could do one variant or the other. But they all have a use, and Fiore's art is a lot more symmetrical than we used to think. There isn't, for example, Porta de Ferro on this side, but there is Dente and Cinghiale. We'll get into that. We're going to build up from the posta, transitions between the posta, which is the core of the movement. If you can transition from position to position, and then you will actually understand where you're going. If you're ever lost in a fight, get to the nearest posta, and you'll probably know where to go from there. Once we do that, you've got pretty much how to throw the colpi, the blow, the striker blow. All you have to do is add some head. That's all it is a posta transition with power. That's a colpi. There's no extra stuff added to it. One place where I disagree with some folks who are teaching this stuff is that there are no wrist cuts, there are no elbow cuts, and there are no shoulder cuts. All the arm does is move the sword to the target. The body actually informs that. It's a subtle motion, but it is the body doing it, not the arms. Yes, there's a little lever action, but it's not the most important thing. We'll go through that. The kinesthetic of doing that, as I said, you should already have built up once you've done the posta and the posta transitions. You get that, just adding a little juice from the hits. After that, we work on defenses, which is the first time today we'll do pair drills. And from that, we'll go through the basic parameters, making cover, which you might think of as a block, making displacements, which is obviously more important, but Fiore does both. So you don't want to just do displacements all the time. Sometimes you want the control of having somebody here at the complete sword, the tutta spada, as he calls it. Now, when we go through all of these, I will mostly use the Italian, but I will throw in the English and such. I realize there's a lot of Italian lingo. It's not to create jargon and make it more difficult. The reason that I teach it in the Italian is that if we translate these things, we don't have a complete understanding of it right now. So if we translate it, we'll have to go back and revise the translation later. We'll have to learn all new terms once we change the thing later. This way, if we just use the original terms, we'll gradually deepen our understanding of what those terms actually mean. And so we can just evolve that rather than having to change the lingo and everything that we write and everything all over the place. So I will not be translating these too much. But loosely speaking, I'll give you the English translation initially. And then I'll sub in the Italian one pretty rapidly from that. You'll get it anyway because everyone will be taking the position. So it doesn't seem to take people too long to get the Italian. A little bit about Fiore. Has everyone seen Fiore's work already? Or no? How many people have not seen it? Fiore della Berri lived in the 3rd quarter of the 14th century in northern Italy. And he was a fight master, a professional master of arms. Which is right here. And we know that he thought that books were very important to fighting because he states in one of his prologues that a skilled combatant cannot hold 1/4 of the art in his head. Therefore, you need fighting books to record the rest of the data. Well, he fortunately wrote at least 5 books, of which 3 have survived in one form or another. We have a tentative date on the Pisani Dossi, also called the Novati, 1409, because it's dated in front. So we know what the date is on that. The problem with this edition is that while the illustrations are decent, the text is only short couplets. And it's more trash talk than anything else. If you do this, I'll break your neck. Okay, thank you. But you've got to sort of guess at the picture. Not so easy. There is another edition, however, in the Getty Museum in Los Angeles. Fortunately, it's here in the United States. I've had the honor to handle that manuscript, and it is gorgeous. The lines are very fine, far finer than you'll find in any of the really fuzzy web illustrations you sort of get at the thing. And you get complete blocks of text, complete paragraph describing not only what's going on, but possibly the counter, and also sometimes variants. So it's nice to look at the pictures, but until we get a full translation. Now, I have the translation, as we're the publisher for Bob Sharon's book, but I cannot share it with you widely because it's not out in publication agreement with Bob. But we can use it, and I can paraphrase from it, which is what we do at this point. It's been a great help in the Schola actually putting together the Fiore material, which I've been working on since about late 2001, early 2002, somewhere in there. I'm sorry, a year back, 2000 to 2001. The way we came into the material was that Greg Mealy of the Chicago Swordplay Guild, who's an old friend of mine, pointed us at the material. And instantly, I noticed that the material all fought from down here, which is kind of where I like to play. The German material, Talhofer and such, fights from up here, which is not where I like to play. So I didn't have a clicking with that. This material, you'll find, is very dynamic and very fluid. Now, given the three manuscripts that we have for Fiore, the other one is just a Morgan in New York. It's very short. It's kind of a best of Fiore thing. You'll find very few copies of that because the Morgan, like the Getty, is fairly picky with letting reproductions out. But you'll find that from all this material, we can kind of piece together what Fiore intended. Now, we don't know what the context of Fiore's art was. We do know that some of his students, 5 who are named in the prologue of the Getty edition, fought in various feats of arms. But we don't know whether these were chivalric duels, judicial duels, backyard scraps. We have no idea. We don't know what the fencing master's role was in 14th and 15th century Europe. All of those things remain to be studied. What would have to be done to ascertain whether these people, say, taught knights or not would be to find account records to see whether they were paid by knights, whether people went to travel to study with them. None of that has been dug up yet. People have tried and not found all that much material. So there's a big question mark about what the context of these martial arts was in medieval and Renaissance Europe.